Hello and welcome to Terrastorian, the channel where we explore the lore of Arknights. I hope everyone is excited for Arknights Endfield, whether you'll be a newcomer or an already standing player. I am Akka, and in today's video we'll be going over some interesting lore and development that we have learnt about in the Arknights Endfield beta. Before we begin, it's worth mentioning that there will be spoilers ahead and that the game is still in beta. Some of the information we have may be subject to change on release. So without further ado, let's get into the lore. We have made a small rough timeline about the history and events of Talos 2. First thing to mention is that Talos has its own calendar, one that is separate from the Terran calendar. Year 0 starts the Talosian calendar. It's when the races of Terra make their way into Talos 2 through the Cosmic Gate. Around year 0 to year 11, the Endmin is born. However, we don't know the origin of the Endmin. For all we know, the birth of the Endmin could just be the transferring of the mind of the Doctor into another body. Year 5 is the start of the First Angloid War, in which the Cosmic Gate is destroyed. To clarify, that this doesn't mean that Terra was destroyed, just a possibility of travel between the two worlds is now broken. In year 11, the First Angloid War enters its second phase. Year 15 concludes the Angloid War. However, at the same time, the first Originium gets contaminated. Years 15 to 17, just after the Angloid War has finished, the Humiliation War begins, which seems to be some sort of civil war between the surviving Terrans. At the end of that war, in year 17, the Civilization Band is formed. Year 59 is where the former hero of the First Angloid War forms the first Landbreakers. In the year 132, a massive Angloid known as Asteron attacks Valley 4. Year 139, the Second Angloid War begins. 142, something happens with the Endmin, and they are put back into the sarcophagus. Afterwards, in year 152, Endmin wakes up. This also marks the very beginning of the game. In Endfield, a new material known as Zeronite is introduced. In the previous video, we mentioned that Zeronite can reduce, stabilize, and counter the Blight, mainly in the form of the Blight Tide. Now though, we know more about its origins. Zeronite was created in the year 140, just 2 years before something happens to the Endmin. Most interestingly, however, is that Zeronite is made by using Originium and the Furamat Sui. Let that sink in. While we are on the topic of Furamats, let's talk about the Furamat Sami. On Terra, it's said that Sami was around before the Stargate, or the Cosmic Gate as it's now called. Sami was a gigantic Furamat, basically a living god. After the fall of the Doctor's civilization, Sami kind of formed a nation around it and on itself, in the northern regions of Terra. There the tribes of Sami became the main force against the collapsal threat. Now we have found out that Sami has moved to Talos 2, and has even taken its nation of Sami and the people with it. A godlike feat showing capabilities of a Furamat. Another thing about Sami is that it took part in the First Angloid War, where its followers started something called the Wild Hunt Uprising. Not only do we have entities and nations moving to Talos 2, we also have cities migrating as well. One city in particular is the Industrial Mothership, which we knew as Simonj back in the original Arknights, a location that we will see in episode 16. From Paul Gronichnik's voice line, it's unclear why it was salvaged and moved to Talos 2. However, what we do know is that it's the largest nomadic city on Talos 2. We previously mentioned that the Cabal of Tranquility is part of Laterano, or at least sent by Laterano to Talos 2 to research the new world. Now we know that the Cabal is comprised of 3 different divisions, that each focus on different things. We have the Resurgenites, which seem to be the fighting force and the explorers of the Cabal. The Sessionites, which seem to be the technicians and scientists. And the Veritorites, which seem to be the scholars and the priests of the Order. The Cabal seem to have an Angloid in their main base of operations that they call Shetras. It's apparently similar in design to the Triangulos we fight. Unlike the Triangulos though, it's a mere test subject. Let's finish this by going over small tidbits about the characters of Endfield. Firstly, we have kind of confirmed what race Neferuth is, that being an Archosauria. Rossi is Wolfguard's little sister, and the heir to the Pact family, or at least in charge of it. Tung Tung is a feline, and the chief of the Chibo Stockade. Phuong is the viceroy of Wuling, and the potential former colleague of the Enmin during the creation of the Zeronite. And finally, Mifu is the captain of the Wuling Watchguards and answers straight to the viceroy. And that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Let us know your theories or expectations for the lore of Arknights Endfield in the comments. Is there a specific nation, race or topic within the Arknights universe you would like us to explore? If so, feel free to share your suggestions below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.